Welcome everyone to episode 5 of the Caleb Marcus podcast. Today I have on my friend Greg Metcalf, aka Pastor SKEEEZ. He's a battle rapper and just a deep thinker in general. We go into his life a little bit and how he got into battle rap, what it means to him. I'm kind of a big fan of battle rap in general, so I kind of got a little technical asking him questions about his writing process, how hard it is to actually rap in front of all those people and everything that's kind of going on, a lot of distractions and whatnot. And then we kind of get into some other topics, just me, honestly, as a white person, not really knowing better and just sort of asking different questions. On that note, I just want to ask for grace for me and also Greg on his answers and my questions and some of the things that I say and some of the things that he says. Throughout the entirety of this podcast, I want to be searching for new ideas, always being willing to hear out people's perspectives, even if I disagree or might not be sure. So in that vein, I'd like to just ask for grace for me and for Greg during this conversation. We respect each other a lot, and we're definitely going to have more conversations in the future. So if you have any questions about what we talked about or anything, feel free to put it in the comments, and we will probably address some of the things in the future. This past week, Dr. Umar Johnson went on The Breakfast Club and had a lot of interesting ideas. Me and Greg are going to study that interview over the next couple weeks and hopefully record and put out a podcast on that in a couple weeks, probably a month I would say, because we got to study and then talk about it and figure out what's going on. So look forward to that. If there's anything specific you want us to cover, put it in the comments. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun recording this with Greg. And I just look forward to all the other episodes that I'll be able to do with him. Peace. Let's just get into the battle rap, and I'm sure a lot of the other stuff will come up as well before we started, but
which is some good stuff, definitely was some good stuff.
Yeah, I have a feeling it'll come up later in the conversation for sure. We can kind of go into that again. But how did you start battle rap and just get into that?
So it probably was about started like maybe 9 to 10 years ago with someone by the name of Giorgio Casper. I mean, he's known as GCAS, kind of popular guy around the city who also did music. And we just came, and my initial thinking was to do something for, the Black community, just to bring everybody together. Of course, it's when you're dealing with, I guess, I don't know, quote unquote, would you call the ghetto type of communities, or, the urban type of communities. There might be a lot of assumptions that's a lot of violence or a lot of fights, and which it can occur. So, I mean, and for me personally, I just wanted to give back to the community where everybody can come to an event and enjoy. I wanted to, for those people and everybody else who love that type of art form, to come together and enjoy for one thing and not, try to express ourselves in violence or anything else. Why not do it in rap? Why not do it in rap form? So we started at King Park. Maybe you can look up the battle. I mean, I know the footage was kind of taken down, but it was like SKEEEZ versus GCAS. It was like my first battle ever, man. I was nervous. I was nervous. It was like my first battle. So, but I mean, it was like over 100 people came. Over 100 people came, and that was more exciting for me than anything. So we just started rapping. We did 3 rounds, kind of 4 to 5 minutes, and everybody, the crowd, the cheering, the enjoying the lyrics, like, it just became a trend around the city. Everybody was talking about it. So we just, started to, meet up at King Park and do it, as an open event. Anybody can come watch us. And then, so it was from that, for me thinking like, hey, maybe I can get some street gangs, that maybe had some conflict with each other, come together and battle, and battle it out in rap form, instead of, battling out with, whether if it's with fights or guns, in that sense. And we actually been successful with that, and that was more important, to me than anything, and that's how I kind of wanted people to look at it, as more than just a rap battle event. But we had major success with that. I had probably over, 25 events, and no fights, no violence. They were always successful, and everybody, in the city was coming to support it. So then it just kind of transpired to me booking venues, and it become a lot bigger than what I expected.
Yeah, and so you not only were a rapper yourself, but you kind of started this league, so to speak.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And that's super interesting, just about, kind of having opposing gangs come, because if you listen to battle rap for the first time, sometimes you can get a little, I don't know, sometimes you can hear some of the lyrics and different things that are going on, and you're like, man, they're really going at each other. And sometimes the lyrics can be violence related or whatever. But it's interesting to hear it in that perspective, because you're kind of giving them this platform to get these feelings of kind of anger and whatnot out, but not actually physically doing it. They're just talking about it. And I mean, we'll take that over the actual violence any day. You know what I'm saying?
Sir. Yes, sir. I mean, that's pretty much the goal right there. I mean, that's pretty much the goal. I mean, it's definitely, and like I said, if you've never been in that environment, and it's been multiple occasions where we would bring it, we would try to rent out a venue, and maybe the owner of the venue or someone would, look at it and be like, I don't know if this is a good idea. I've been turned down, a lot, venues turned down a lot, just because they either looked up battle rap and seen what it was and didn't think it was a good idea to do business. I tried to explain what it was. I got denied venues. So it was very hard for me to, kind of, bring this type of art form into businesses that, we didn't own ourselves, and be like, hey, this is successful. This is for the good, this is for a good cause. But just because of the lyrics and them not really understanding, really understanding it, pretty much it's hip hop.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why it was kind of hard for me to kind of book venues for a while. But all in all, it was pretty much successful. And if you haven't been in that environment and you don't understand battle rap, you could feel uncomfortable, because yes, it does get personal at times. It does, violence does get brought up within the lyrics. But after pretty much every battle, there's always handshakes, there's always respect. The most intense battle we ever had was Rich versus Project Prime. And there was two sides that was real, heated at the time. And I just went out on a limb and said, you know what, these guys both, they're talented. They respect me. They also, in a sense, kind of respect each other, but their gang is kind of, it was a lot of tension in the room, but I definitely appreciate them both for doing it, and it was definitely successful, and that's what it was all about for me.
Yeah. So you mentioned that battle rap is an art form, and since I went to that battle a couple weeks ago, I've had people ask me like, what is it like, and how's kind of the format, just how does that work, and these are people who haven't even seen 8 Mile, so it's like they don't even have that as like kind of their foundation to understand what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm trying to, it's kind of difficult to explain, but to someone who's just never experienced it before. But
Oh, yeah.
when you say that battle rap is like an art form, and there's many people who have no idea what that even looks like. Can you explain just a little bit like what you mean by that? And
it's really another way that you express yourself, just like any artist express himself through dance, express himself through poetry. Just like, sometimes people may do a spoken word about their truth, about their life, and it's a way of expression, because, you maybe not want to, or don't know how to vent to anyone, or don't have anyone to talk to. So, you do it, you express yourself in many different ways. So, basically it's another, I guess, another way of music too, where you got different genres of, you got hip hop, you got rock, you got, either metal, you got, rap, all types of stuff where you have these artists expressing themselves in rapping or singing, and it's, and sometimes it's either coming from their personal experience, or they're writing music where someone can relate to, or someone can relate to. So, that's pretty much it is. I would kind of put it in the category as in, rapping, but with no instrumental or no beat,
right,
or something like that. And you actually, and maybe attacking your opponent in a sense of a versus, like more like a boxing match or a wrestling match, where it's just, two competitors going at each other, trying to find out each other weaknesses, and trying to be better, better than the other,
right.
Pretty much.
Interesting. Yeah, and the thing I've kind of noticed, the more battles that I've watched, and it kind of depends on who's battling, right? But
yeah,
it can get so what's the right word? Maybe like intricate. Like you have like double entendres going, and people running the schemes back.
Okay,
Let's go. I know what I'm talking about. Let's go.
Okay. For sure.
And you got people running back schemes like they just, rapped this a couple lines, and then like you didn't think that was that cool. One of my favorites is well, I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, but one of the guys who I watch a lot is A Ward, and he does that a lot, where he just kind of raps something, and you're like not really you're not really seeing why it's impactful or good at all. Right. It's like, oh, you didn't really like that? Well, you're gonna think it's fire when I run it back, and then he runs it back and does it all over. But it's different inflections on certain words that totally change what he's saying, and then you're like, holy crap, I didn't even think he was doing that.
Man, it's so many. There's so many creative ways you can come up with your material. Rather, it's punchlines, metaphors, just like you said, schemes, and then it's the art of freestyling. Not everybody can freestyle. Most people nowadays, just kind of write their material and then try to perform them. But some people, if you don't remember, the artist Ill Will.
Yeah, he had like 3.
Yeah, he did a lot of freestyles and rebuttals,
Yeah,
and not everybody can do that because it all comes off the fly. It all comes off, the top of the dome,
yeah,
off like they would say. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's all freestyle. So it's definitely more of a mental sport. Definitely a mental sport. Because like you said, things can get said personal that you may not like, and you have to hold that some type of composure. You have to be professional. There is some professionalism that comes with it, and you sometimes you have to control your emotions. I mean, it's definitely a lot harder than what it may seem.
yeah. And I was actually sorry. I was hanging out with John the other day, or this was like last week actually,
Yeah.
and he was asking me about the battle, and so I'm like, dude, we got to just watch one on YouTube right now. So we went and watched one. It was like from a couple years ago. I think it was Loso versus B Dot, and I
That
like
was
that. Yeah, I like that one a lot. And John was like, dude, I could not keep myself together if that guy is just up in my face like that. Because when you guys are battling, usually, you're kind of just standing there, and then someone's up in your face, like basically like yelling at you
for
and
sure,
like berating you, basically.
for sure, for sure.
And you definitely have to yeah, take it professionally and not react, and then maybe use the freestyle or the rebuttal as your chance to kind of get back at them, sort of thing.
Yes, sir. I've seen it all. I've seen crying. I've seen people walking off. I've seen, people getting so mad where I seen, people that they came with, their entourage, they get so mad where they want to, fight or something like that. And then, as an artist, you also have to control your environment. You have to control the people that come with you too. So it's a lot that goes into it, mentally, that you really have to prepare for, or should I say that you don't really prepare for. You don't really know until you actually in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. All
But,
right. And let's talk about your material that you prepare with to go in there, because when I when I went to the battle, and then I got back home and was talking to my family or friends about it, and I mentioned that you weren't able to battle because your opponent didn't show up.
right.
They were like, one of my friends was like, well, couldn't he just get winner of someone else?
Right.
And I'm like, dude, no, that's not how it works at all. Like, you put in hours and hours and hours of putting together this material and this performance, really, for this one specific person, and you can't, like, maybe you can take a little bit to your next
Right.
one, but for the most part, that's just like in the trash now.
It's
And
almost, this might be a horrible analogy, but it's almost at a restaurant and making a perfect sandwich for this person who made the order, and you give the wrong person that order. I mean,
okay.
it's like, like it's great, it's perfection, but it's not for this person. So it doesn't, it's useless pretty
Yeah.
much. Especially when now you do have material where you can maybe say to the general, or you can say it to anybody pretty much, that you can use for anybody. But when I write, especially now, I write for that specific person. And that's a thing too. Some people score points rather if you judge in a battle or not. How direct are you to this person? Are you actually battling your opponent?
Right.
And so a lot of my material was directed at this person. So I mean, it was, yeah, it was pretty, man, like it was a stab in the gut, because you also have your personal life you have to deal with on top of training. mentally, all the time, whether it's at work, whether it's at home with your wife and your kids, where you have to perform, and then your kids hear you, and it's like, oh, Dad, what is that? What did that mean? Or or dad, or they look, or my daughters, sometimes I don't like to kind of provide that type of energy around my daughters, because sometimes they try to, imitate it a bit,
Okay.
I mean, and it's sometimes it's a little bit of, tough for me, because I know what type of energy, battle rap can, unleash for me. You know what I mean? This whole aggressive, monster type, dude, or, whatever the case may be. But with your girls, you have to be sensitive. You have to be, what I mean? It's
Yeah.
almost two different people, and so it's like, now, okay, you have to put it on hold. You have to put it on hold, because your daughter's listening. Your daughter now, you got to give time to your wife. You got to get sleep. You got to, it's so much things that go on in your personal life, whatever you may, do, that where sometimes you may not even have time to properly prepare.
Yeah.
So.
So you obviously have to take this time to write all the material, but then once you have that all written down, then you have to take the time to get it all into your head and have it to where you can perform it like perfectly. And like, if anyone's ever tried to write their own raps or whatever, I love writing, but I don't have the voice for rapping, you know what I'm saying? So but I have tried, like
Hey man, look, you never know, man. Look, you never know. You cannot, look, you can't go, look, you can't doubt yourself until you actually,
okay.
Anybody can do it. I promise you, man.
Okay, I one of my favorite beats is "Affirmative Action" by Nas. Do you know
yeah.
that song?
Oh yeah. That's
So,
definitely.
I'll have to see. Maybe I can do something, and then I'll show it to you, and then you can be my judge. Okay, if I should go forward with it.
Oh, look, I'm all for it. Hey, look, regardless, I'm not gonna lie. Regardless of however it sounds, well, I'm going to be honest, but then I'm still going to encourage you.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially if you know what you're doing. If
Right.
you're doing stuff.
Okay. For sure. Okay, but going back to that, so how much time do you think you put into, number one, just writing the specific, because every event is different, right? So this one was, you have one round, and then you guys had a time limit. What was your time limit?
Pretty much, we wouldn't time in specifically, because it was just one round.
Okay.
So, but I would say it was maybe a minimum of maybe 4:35 minutes.
Okay.
This, and honestly, excuse me, this specific battle, it was, Geechee Gotti. Like, he was two-time champion of the year. If you watch URL or watch Smack, TV, if you watch that, you can understand, what type of stature Geechee Gotti, was. Like, he's, he was two-time champion of the year, one of the best battle rappers, today.
Yeah.
And so I had to really focus and prepare for that. I had to really focus and prepare for that. I mean, that's a potential moment for me, where, my name can be a lot bigger than what it is now.
Yeah.
It can give me an opportunity to get on a bigger platform to, speak, just speak my truth to what I believe to, and then just show my talent too. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, for sure. So how much time would you say that you put into writing, and then once you got everything written down, then you gotta get it all in your head so you can perform it? And then one thing about battle rap as well is that when you're writing, you kind of, or I would assume, I've never done it, but you have to assume when the crowd's going to react, because especially at the event that I went to and that we were at, I would say the crowd was a little, they reacted, but it was a little too much at times, because we're like, hey, hold it down, chill out.
yeah, for
And
sure.
people are still kind of talking. So you never know. Like you could say something and then it could be like 45 seconds before you have to get back in that groove. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. Well,
how long?
Yeah,
Sorry,
well, just to answer, no, you're good, you're okay. Just to answer your first question about how long I have to prepare, like honestly, sometimes it takes me maybe a week or two to get started. Like if I'm actually focusing, sometimes it takes me a week or two because you want a strong opening, like you want to, you know, get the attention from the crowd right away, you know. So sometimes it takes me like a week or two. Sometimes I can start writing the second week, and then I can keep going and keep going. And I do what I call like rough drafts. And then I kind of, okay, I don't like that. Let me take that out. Let me take that out. And then I don't really start really getting to, like some good writing until maybe the third to fourth week. And I mean, and of course, like you have to adjust that depending on when is the event, because sometimes you only have a month, prep, or sometimes you have 2 months, and sometimes you have 3 months. So, and that does vary. So I guess it all depends on, how much prep time do you have. But sometimes what takes me the longest is me starting up, and usually I take about 2 to 3 weeks. But after that, I usually can, get into the flow of things, and then that's just like the matter of days. But as far as memory, that can take forever. that can take up to the day of or the day before, the event. That can take, to a long time, because just like you say, as far as your memory, you try to, even in your mind, when you're going over it in your mind, you prepare for like, okay, they're going to react to this. But if they don't react, it kind of throws you off.
Yeah.
It's kind of, cause some type of blockage in your mind, like, I prepared for that, but then it doesn't happen. Okay, you got to get back to it. Because honestly, there's so many times where I remembered my rounds to the T, but then when I get on stage, your adrenaline, starts going. Your mind just, started wandering. And then next thing you know, you're just rapping, knowing the next sentence. And see, I personally feed off the crowd, so when the crowd give you this, loud reaction, it also give you time to prepare, like, okay, I know this is next. I know this is next. And it also gives you momentum, and you can start feeling all of that. Like, you go through so much emotions and, through battle rap, it's pretty crazy, pretty intense moment.
Yeah. Dang. And so I noticed that this previous event that we were at, and where you were supposed to rap, it was basically if I understand it right, it was like URL guys versus different people from Grand Rapids. Is that right?
He'll hear you though. So
okay, there you okay, you're back. All right. Yeah, let me ask that again. Okay. So this event that we were both just at, if I understand it correctly, it was URL guys versus different, almost like challengers, so to speak, from Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so obviously, did you know all of the different battlers from Grand Rapids?
Yeah, pretty much. I knew everybody. It was basically like URL versus Grand Rapids battlers. URL is maybe the celebrities of battle rap. It would be the Drakes and Lil Waynes, to the music industry.
Right.
Hey, I'm sure like JC, and stuff like that. Like, I mean, those guys are pretty much, where we're trying to reach. But shout out to the owner of Organized Crime Battle League, Red Peso. He actually, brought them out there to give us an opportunity, the Grand Rapids artists, an opportunity to perform in front of them to see, if we're ready to take that next step. You know what I mean? So yeah, and I pretty much, knew everybody and knew all the Grand Rapids artists.
Okay. And then you had some like certain guys who, when they rapped, you were like right behind them because it's like, okay, this is my dude. We've practiced together and whatnot. Because I noticed that when I forget the guy's name that went against JC. What's his name again?
Raydell.
Raydell.
Yeah, that's my guy.
He was good. And when he was going, I saw you mouthing exactly his words because you knew.
Which was horrible. Was the worst thing I could ever done to support him. And I think I actually, it was the first time I actually sparred with someone. Sparred is actually, when you kind of go over your rounds back and forth with a guy, you know what I'm saying? Okay. And I was saying his rounds while we were sparring so naturally where it would just coming out, in his battle. And normally in a battle, you don't want to do that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Why is that?
Just because I don't know. So, people look at it as a negative thing, I guess. I don't really see how it's negative, but I guess it's just good to stand behind them and support them. You know what I mean? Like, I guess, this is your entourage. So you gotta, you have to have that war face on, that intimidating face on, like, okay, we're in a war zone, right?
Yeah.
So, and I don't know why people looked at it as a negative thing, as basically mouthing off the words. But I mean, I was just excited for him. And I was also I was going through the emotions of not battling. So I was just, kind of, in the moment with him. I mean, knowing that I wasn't battling it. So, but yeah.
Yeah. And did you have people talk to you about that?
Oh yeah.
They say stuff?
It definitely was comments on YouTube. The battle was actually out.
I watched it.
Yeah, it was comments on YouTube, his guy is, rapping with them. He's saying his words. I don't know why they look at it as a negative thing, but I mean, I get it.
Okay. Interesting. Man. Yeah. That was crazy.
And not every, and maybe there's also I believe May 8th event where there is some guys that you may know that's battle rapping on the May 8th card. I was the last card that we talked about. It was on a barcode league.
Yeah. I know Peasy.
Peasy. He's
I played basketball with him in like a church league, and so I know him pretty well. So yeah, I definitely want to go and see him.
Oh, yeah, some talented brothers there. You know what I mean? Talented brothers. So yeah, so I mean, you're gonna reckon not every battle rap event is the same. And of course, if we could talk about it like, in that type of environment, I wouldn't expect you to be, around, all the, drink, it was drinks and stuff like that. Everybody having a good time, but I did kind of warn you about it. Like, hey, you might come home. The wife might, sense sense a smell on you. That's not the usual, but, but like I said, it's all, it's that culture, it's that environment, you know what I mean? Like, everybody was having a good time, if you're used to that, then of course you're not really being judgmental because you know what it is, so
yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely, I appreciated your presence, man. It definitely was a great time.
For sure. Yeah, it stuck out. I don't know, I don't think I wore the right sweatshirt as well, because I wore a sweatshirt that was like completely white as well, so that didn't help me out.
Oh man.
It was funny. I think it was Rydell. He said one of his lines. He said something about like cocaine helped me get through college. I had white privilege.
Yeah.
Bro.
That was one of his favorite lines, and everybody liked that. That was
That
crazy.
was a good line, and I'm standing there, and everyone else is like, "Oh, that was awesome!" That was funny, and I'm like, yeah, like because
right.
I don't know.
And you the one standing out, right? But of course, what he meant, the double,
yeah, for sure, and that's a double entendre right there because
right.
white privilege has been a thing, but he's talking about because cocaine is white, exactly, yeah.
Right. For sure.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was hilarious. And
that's pretty dope, man. I mean, Ray Del Shemaine, he definitely, next up, man. He's the truth. That's my goal.
For sure. And yeah, it was funny. I think this is a good, or actually I want to get into like name flips. That's sort of one of the elements of battle raps that's like one of my favorite. You can kind of overdo it, but name flips is like one of my favorites, you know what I'm saying? So for the people who don't know, probably coming from my side, do you want to explain what name flips are?
Name flips is so basically, okay, my battle rap name personally is Pastor SKEEEZ, right?
Yeah.
So, people could take the word pastor, take the word pastor and make references like rather if it's a pastor in a church or or just taking the word skis and make a reference to skis as in skiing, or just basically kind of like wordplay, breaking a word down and playing with words. That your name is Pastor SKEEEZ, but pastor mean this and skis mean this, and basically it's trying to be intricate, and play with words pretty much,
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much. I'm sorry if I'm not able to kind of give you like the
No, you're
exact
good.
definition of of the name flips and something like that. But
That's good. And that was something that I think it was Raydell again when he was going against JC. He had a little scheme where, because that was on Easter, and
right.
I thought he was going to go a little bit more with that, but he kind of talked about JC in terms of Jesus Christ on Easter, and so
Christ, resurrection, resurrection. Yeah. Like, so yeah, that's pretty much name flips, and is also JC name was Carter. So and he did a Coach Carter scheme relating to his name Carter. And that's basically what he said. So basically, like JC, he had a line where he's saying, if you're ready for Job, like if you basically like how in the movie, Jehovah's Witness came up to the door, if you ready for Jesus' return. And he said, like, bow, I'm going to send JC back again, basically, Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? So basically that's pretty much a name flip and something like that. So
that was good. Okay, so I want to kind of go back to the conversation that we were having before we started, where because I was basically, I think I was like the only white dude in there, except for maybe one other person.
Yeah.
And my man was not. I mean, we just did not share. He was white and I was white, but we were not from the same thing,
definitely.
I mean,
yeah, definitely. And that's all. And that's just the culture thing. How he's more comfortable in that environment because he's been around it, and you can, and obviously you can definitely tell by or either the way, you can't really tell maybe by the way he dressed, but the way he talk or the way he interact with us, what I mean, like you could definitely tell it was a definitely a different level of comfortability he had more than you had, and just like I say, that's more of people not really understanding. Just like if you want to tell the story, like you did in the beginning of the podcast before.
I will. And so when I was in that situation, I didn't necessarily I did feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Right.
But it wasn't because like, oh, I'm around all these Black people, like I'm scared that something's gonna happen to me or whatever. It was more like I'm not sure if all these people looking at me are gonna have a problem with me because like I'm white and I'm like encroaching on their thing and whatnot, you know. So that would be the only reason why I was uncomfortable. And I shared this story with you before, and I'll share it where I was listening to this podcast, and there's a white guy and a Black girl, and they're talking on this podcast, and he mentioned that he was walking into this park, and there was a Black family having a cookout, like 15, 20 people, and he said maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, when there was a little bit less racial tension, he would have just kind of walked through them or walked past them and have a nice, you know, chat with them. How are you guys doing? Whatever, and go on. But now he almost felt like, since the tension is a little bit higher, and maybe even higher than it's ever, you know, not ever been, but been in recent years, obviously, and he was a little bit nervous to do that because he wasn't sure if him being white was an issue. And that's kind of how I felt at the battle. Like I was there for the bars. I love battle rap, but I wasn't sure if me being white would kind of like be an issue to everyone else there. You know what I'm saying? Which it really wasn't as far as I could tell. But when he said that in the podcast, the Black girl said, well, that's interesting because that's basically how Black people feel all the time.
Right. And you can only be uncomfortable in an environment that you're not familiar with. You know what I mean? And especially, and just like I was telling you before, that's only coming from if you're not familiar with it, then you're going to make assumptions based off what you see on the internet, you know, in movies, through music, and through, you know, any other platform or media outlet or anything like that. And that's the reason why I do have an issue maybe with some some music or some movies, you know, and basically productions like kind of promoting this type of image, you know, of a Black person because this is what they see. You know, this is what they see. So they only can make judgment based on, you know, what their mind can go to. I mean, it's definitely about mental control. And just like I was saying, me and my wife went out to Cedar Springs, you know, searching for a house. And it was difficult for me to not think about the racial tension when I see like a bunch of Confederate flags and Trump supporters pictures all over the windows. But we were just searching for a great home and being in a great environment and search a nice home. And we looked at the schools and there was 1%, you know, African American, you know, in the schools, you know, in that district. So, and that was kind of alarming to me personally, because there was so much racial tension that's getting promoted on the internet, on the Facebook, you know, basically what we glue our eyes to. Yeah. So I definitely understand, you know, where he's coming from. And even in a work environment, you know, you know, there's so many times where, you know, I can walk by, you know, say a white guy and we don't even speak because I mean, let's just call it what it is. We're already making judgment. You know what I mean? We're already judging each other before we even know each other to say hello. But then when I finally interact with him, like, hey, how's it going? And you almost see this surprising, like, oh, hey, how's it going? You know what I mean? Like it's that wake up, like, oh, you are a human being, like you cool, you know what I mean? But and I get that. I get that, and I've been through that a lot. Where I work security, and I was like a detective, at Macy's, where I would just go walk out on the floor, and people, associates, or like managers would call me, the security, and be like, hey, there's this, suspicious black guy, walking around, and it would be me, it would be me. And so I'll be like, I think it's funny, I'll be thinking it's, funny, but I know what it is, I definitely know, stereotypes and everything else. And I remember one time I answered the phone, and of course, so I'm putting on my customer service voice. I'm like, hey, I'm like, security, this is Greg speaking. May I help you? And they was like, Greg, this is you? Like almost shocked that I couldn't, speak, fluently, or, what I'm saying, or anything like that. So, I mean, but I get it. But it is like the perceptions through rap music, through, movies, through, and everything else, what I mean? Pretty much. If you haven't personally been in that environment, or, met been around a different type of culture, then you won't understand it, and you would just make judgment based on what you think it is. What I mean?
Yeah. And that kind of maybe another example of that is, I don't know. I don't know how you feel about like a microaggression sort of thing. Have you heard about this?
Oh, okay, explain.
Just like if I was to say like, wow, Greg, you're so articulate, man. Like you speak so well. But
right.
and like I could just be saying that because I actually think that, and I'm just like, wow, you're really good at speaking. This is awesome. But from your perspective, you'd be like, well, are you just saying that because you're surprised that a black person can like speak well? You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
So there's kind of that tension as well, where, in maybe I would be saying that because I actually am surprised, or maybe I'm just saying that because I'm just impressed in that moment where you just talked about like this string theory and that was awesome or whatever.
Right. And see, I'm objective, like, and I'm gonna pick with you a little bit, right?
Okay.
I'm gonna pick with you. So I remember me coming to the church, and I had my hair brushed, and I was brushing my hair, and you was asking, you was like, so what do you use that for? Like, and so I'm like, man, you don't see the waves,
Did I say that?
Yeah. You was like, so what do you see? You was like, what do you use the brush for? And then, or the whole, and see, and this is not like, I didn't honestly think, I thought you were just someone who were, curious.
Yeah.
You wanted to know, like, and even like, I didn't even take an offense because look, I've been around it. I work with thousands, of different type of, personalities, white people, different type of culture and stuff like that. And it's almost the norm where I can sense what type of person, are you, like, and that's why I said, like, I didn't even take the whole, like okay, like you remember when we went out, I brought some lunch, and I brought some chicken, right? And you had the little hot sauce, and you was like, so do you dip it in there, or do you just pour it on there? And I think, and I know, and I honestly knew you were asking, just being curious, because, but the whole perception of, yes, black people love chicken. I love chicken. I love the chicken, though. The chicken was good. You know what I'm saying? The chicken was good. Let's keep it 100. The chicken was good. Yeah. But, you know what I'm saying? But I get why you asked that. But see, it's a different, it's different, to me when you're just, a curious, white guy who grew up a certain way and didn't understand the culture and want to know about it, than a person being, sarcastic, or, you know what I mean? Or funny and stuff like that. So, so definitely.
And that's something that you feel like, and would you say that most black people kind of feel that way, where I don't want to make you like the
No, no.
spokesperson for all black people or whatever, but you can kind of have a sense of when someone is like cool and they are just curious, or when they're kind of just trying to ask you like sarcastic questions, almost like make fun of you or something like that.
Right. Of course. I mean, because especially if if you've been around it enough, and especially like if you be around people, they start to reveal themselves. If you be around a person long enough, they always reveal themselves. They always show a side of you. Rather it was in meetings at the church that we would go to. Like the more and more I was around you guys, the more you guys started to reveal yourselves. To me, I was like, okay, these guys are cool. Or rather, it was somebody else coming to the meetings and me, listening to them or what they had to say about the riots or a particular situation and stuff like that. I was like, it made me question. It's like, But and even then, sometimes people way of thinking is, you have to think that's just how they were raised. Everything is mental, pretty much. Everything is mental. But there is come to a point where you have to, look within yourself, and be like, what is right or wrong? What is right or wrong? You know what I mean? And sometimes it's a shame where, people don't notice that.
Yeah.
So I mean, but
that's super interesting when you were talking about those different questions that I asked you, and and you remember. I don't even remember asking you those at all. I just think that's so interesting that and those are things that you specifically remember, because those are instances where you could have been like, bro, what the heck is wrong with you? Why are you being like kind of low-key racist right now?
Yeah, for sure.
But in that moment, like you knew me, and that wasn't the first time that we interacted. Like you had known me for a while, so you knew that I wasn't trying to be offensive or whatever.
I definitely scanned you out, man. I'm always, I'm definitely aware of my, surroundings, but look, Caleb, it's an honor to be, on this podcast with you, brother. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you or John never really judged me. If we want to go back to how we met, I did get in some trouble. And I end up, having to do community service, at your church. And then after that, after I started coming, we just started kind of bonding from there. And definitely you can always feel, vibes or, a person, a mindset or personality when you around them for so long. And sometimes it don't even take long, you know what I mean? And sometimes people don't reveal themselves, to you, but you can pretty much get a sense of who they are, you know what I mean? Just in a short period of time. So
yeah. And going back to that, when we first met, I think it was the first day that we met each other, we were, both sitting at this table, and we had been around each other for all of like maybe 15 minutes. I think I just showed you around. And then we sat down, and then you kind of had your phone like this, like kind of like listening to something, and kind of like you weren't sure how I would feel about it, kind of keeping it like a little bit low or whatever, and you were listening to battle rap, and you were listening to the Saga, and I was like, oh, is that the Saga? I love the Saga. And your face when you looked at me, you were just like,
for sure. And see, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was also me making judgment. That was also me making judgment on you, thinking like, okay, look, we're Calvary Church. What did this guy know about battle rap? He's white. He's looked, probably what, use the word I like to use, privileged, know nothing about, urban or battle rap. And when you said, is that, Loso, or you were saying, I'm like, what? You like battle rap? Like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's get it. But I'm glad you, brought that up, because that was also me making judgment, on you. and pretty much, what I'm saying? So like, and then after that, we started kind of to connect.
Yeah. And I remember specifically that we talked for probably like an hour after that. And I could tell that, obviously you were in a new environment, sort of had your walls up sort of thing. And when I said that, instantly they were down. And
the wall came down. Yes. Facts, bro, facts. Facts. I mean, first of all, I was already uncomfortable because, the position I put myself in, because I knew I walked in there, already been labeled as a troublemaker, so to make, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm like, look, I'm just coming here to, but in a sense, I knew that, I was also, a man of God and knew, what I believed. And so that's the reason I was also still kind of comfortable, but I was still in my own, own lane, because it is, it is a different type of church, and I'm surrounded by, different type of people, that I'm not normally around, even when I'm at church or when I'm not at church, so I didn't know, I was just like, okay, let me just, do my hours and then just get up out of here, but I promise you, as soon as you said, Loso name and you showed your interest in battle rap, I'm like, oh man, let's get it. I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can do hours of this community service. And then like, after my hours is up, I just kept going. You know what I mean? So started building our from there.
Yeah. And we're mentioning Loso, and I mentioned A Ward a little bit earlier, and Saga and Street Hymns and guys like that. And you mentioned your faith, and you're a Christian, and you were when I met you. And how has that, and obviously your battle name is Pastor SKEEEZ, right? And so there's that connotation there as well. How do you personally, because I know that Loso and Street Hymns and Saga and all those guys, they kind of fit their faith into their raps, and they kind of all do it different ways. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
How do you feel like that's hard for you to put that in there, or is it really easy for you? Like, this just kind of flows. This is my faith and my experience, and I'm just rapping it, or is it hard?
Yeah. So maybe like my first battle probably was like this year, where I actually, tried to kind of implement, my belief in Jesus Christ into my rounds, regardless of what I rap about. I'm still in transition of trying to clean it up and cleaning myself up personally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it still is a work in progress. So, I don't want to say, but I also want to be careful, because it's not like I want to embrace free will. I'm just more comfortable in my own skin and knowing that it is a progress for me. And no matter what comes out of my mouth, I am what I am, and I try not to judge others based off who they are. But as long as and my next battle, and I just started feeling more comfortable. And I actually read some scripture and basically saying, put Jesus Christ in everything that you do. I don't know the specific, scripture, but pretty much I started kind of when I started reading the Bible and getting more comfortable with myself, I started, like all this gun talk and all this, kill talk is just not for me. I started to feel uncomfortable as I started to, progress my relationship with God, but it is, when I battle rap, it is a little bit more unfiltered than the Low Souls. And not to take anything away from them, I actually commend them, because their material is limited of what they can talk about and what they can express. rather you have, whether a person, and and what's crazy to me is because there's also, quote unquote gangster, battle rappers who also believe in Jesus Christ or believe in God, but they still express themselves how they want to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where I don't label as myself as a Christian battle rapper. I'm just a battle rapper that's a Christian, and I would say that, and I still like to express my faith, through battle rap, I might say you might hear some profanity or anything like that, and like I said, I have to be careful because if I had the opportunity to get on a bigger platform, a bigger stage, I don't want people to assume that I'm embracing this lifestyle, that that I want to do this, but I want you to know that this is a transition for me and I'm still a work in progress, but I am who I am. I believe in what I believe in. And I think people should, respect that. But so I got this, I got my slogan. I don't care about being viewed as the best. I just want to be a dude you respect, the name pastor, but God ain't through with me yet. Pray for me.
Woo! Let's go.
See, I got that, and that's pretty much sums it up. You know what I'm saying? What I was saying. And I also got another slogan where it's like, what you got a couple pastor name flips, an exaggeration about how God should be ashamed of how I'm rapping. Save it. SKEEEZ believe in Jesus. Well, what's the difference of them believing in you when your whole image is an imagination? Which I'm saying is, what's the difference of me believing, using anything, everything in my mental, and my power and my belief to believe in Jesus? And what's the difference between that and you creating this image in battle rap, this gangster image in battle rap, and selling it to them? Yeah. You know what I mean? So, how can you, and even that don't even have to relate to battle rap. People sell who they are in real life or based off what they believe, rather it's through their own consciousness or it's through or what they've been taught, but everything is a belief, you know what I mean? And it's so you know what I'm saying? It's like so divisive now, man. It's like if you believe in Jesus Christ and a person believe in, rather it's Islam or anything else, it's like, okay, well, I'm going up against that, and I'm a more person as, I respect any and everybody's, religion or belief, and just, pretty much, pro-life, man, pro-human life, I respect all races, so.
Dang. I like those slogans a lot. That's awesome.
Oh, for sure.
What's one of your favorite slogans from any battle rapper?
Let's see here. Honestly, man, I cannot think of any off the top of the head right now. No slogan. It's not really any like catchy slogans for me. That's that's in battle rap. At least right now, I haven't I have favorite battle rappers, okay. But I just feel like my slogan. I feel like my slogan is the craziest. Like I feel, but obviously because that means something personal and that's personal, you know what I mean? And I know what it means to me, but I mean, I don't really have a specific, slogan that
you like. Yeah, I'm not going to remember all of it, but I like A-Ward's where he says, I didn't come to get personal with you, but I do have a hearse for every person that's with you. What does it say after that? I can't remember what he says after that, but then he says God is good, and then everyone says like all the time.
All the time. Oh, okay, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's
a pretty good one. I'm trying to think of, and then, dude, one of my favorite moments like in battle rap ever. I can't remember who DNA was going against, but you know how he says, you know my slogan, and then everyone get him the F out of here. And then he says, and I'm just gonna, you know, censor myself. And then he says, heck no, get that out of here. And then he keeps on going. And that one where he said, get the yak out of here. And then he goes, look at that hat. Get that the heck out of here. And then he goes and smack. He's like, you thought I was gonna lose? Get smacked that boy. He's like going crazy.
Yeah, I think I want to say either it was a verb, or I don't know if it was verse a verb, or I want to say a verb. Was it a verb?
I think have been, yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it could have been a verb, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure. I was never really a DNA fan. I honestly just became a fan of him though. Like maybe like the past year and a half. But I think maybe it was against a verb. I'm not sure.
That's one of my favorite moments ever, man. That was so awesome. And while we're on this, one of my favorite rebuttals actually is there was a couple years ago, the saga was against Prep, and they were just like in this, it wasn't like a big stage or anything, it was just this room, I think in New York or something. And Prep was all dressed up like to the nines. He was looking, he had like a suit on, it looked really good, or it wasn't a suit, it was like a sweater where he kind of looked like Carlton Banks or something.
Yeah, and he had a little time.
Yeah, and the saga said something along the lines of like, you look, I don't know if it was you look like Carlton. No, it was something about Jeffrey because he's the butler in Fresh Prince, right? Yeah. And he said something about that he looks like Jeffrey from Fresh Prince. And then Prep's rebuttal was something along the lines of like, oh, he said that I'm Jeffrey from Fresh Prince. Well, watch while I clean his man's chin. Clean his man's chin. And I was like, woo! That was crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah, they was rebuttaling heavy. Yeah. They was rebuttaling heavy that battle, and that's actually the first battle I seen the saga on.
Okay.
I mean that's definitely
that was a really good one.
I mean, and one of my favorite battle rappers, who I hope to maybe battle one day is Twerk. His mom is a Christian. He was raised a Christian. He also believed. He also believed in that. I mean, he doesn't really, glorify it as such. You know what I'm saying? But I'm a person where it's like, I'm comfortable for who I am. I don't need to be this type of person to validate myself as a battle rapper or something like that. I mean, you can be who you are, but still be within yourself too. So, but yeah, he's definitely. One of my guys I like to, look at, and that really kind of inspired me or whatever. So.
Yeah. And he was at the battle that we were at, and he went against that kid. I'm forgetting. I forget his name. Yeah. Corey.
Yeah. Corey.
And, that was his first, I can't even, that I was like, that can't be true. Like he's got to be lying. Like there's no way your first battle is going against freaking New Jersey Twerk. Like that's your first battle. Like that was insane.
Yeah, that was crazy. Because when I first heard him, and I could be honest, like I didn't give him the benefit of the doubt only because, and I knew it was just like practice, whatever. And then, when he like gave me a little bit of material, I was like, man, first of all, you going up against New Jersey Twerk energy. Yeah. So first of all, like you got to match that, let alone the material. You know what I mean? Like we talking about potentially one of the best writers in the game that has this massive, intimidating, big energy. Guy energy and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, and when he kind of rapped me, he was a little bit, soft spoken a little bit, or just rapping. He wasn't really performing. And I was like, man, I was thinking to myself, man, this guy got to turn up. And when I talked to him before the battle, I seen a look in his eyes. He was like, man, look, I'm ready for this. I'm built for this. He was like, he was convincing, he was like, hey, this is fun to me. You know what I mean? Like I'm ready. And when he just started rapping, I mean, he went he turned up 10 times.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that was definitely a big moment for him. You know, it was definitely, you know what I mean, inspiring to me too, you know what I mean, to see someone, you know, battle, you know, someone like, you know, New Jersey Twerk, and then, you know, to get busy for his first time. So that was pretty dope.
Yeah, that was awesome.
For sure.
That was awesome. All right. So switching gears a little bit. This is something I've just been thinking about recently, and you may not have an answer. I've been thinking about this and wanted your perspective. So when it comes to race and skin color and black and white and all these different things, right?
Yeah.
We all have sort of perspectives on what it means to like be black, or what it means to be white, or whatever. And then we sort of have like I kind of call it just like a Martin Luther King perspective, where you just judge someone specifically on just who they are as a person and not on their skin color, right?
Skin color, correct.
And I agree with that, but I feel like sometimes we kind of get into where there's certain instances where black people feel like they need to, or they have like this responsibility to like shoulder all of the load of like, I need to show everyone what being black means, or that it's not like this, or not what they think, or it is this or not. So I guess my question would be, what does it mean to you to be black? Or is that even a right question? You know, like, because you could say in one way, you could say that black people in themselves are so different that even answering that question of what does it mean to be black, maybe that doesn't even cover everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Does that make sense or no?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a great question that I wasn't prepared for. I guess that I was though, but I guess these are one of the questions where I have to be careful.
Okay.
Because even though I like to speak for myself,
Yeah,
I want to be careful where, like, I'll be able to explain myself to the point where once we leave, I can be like, you know what, I said all what I believe, and I spoke my truth where he can understand it.
yeah.
And that's one of these where I have to actually think, you know what I mean? Because like I said, I want to be able to articulate things and see, like, and this is where it comes the, education, the lack of education, the oppression and stuff like that, where, Black people go through and then get stuck within, systems, and stuff like that, where we lose the ability to have certain education that other people may have, where we able to speak about those things. You know what I'm saying? And I can't say that I'm all the way educated enough, but maybe I can come up with something where I can, explain.
Hold on, you muted your.
One
there we
second.
go.
Sorry about that. Somebody made a phone call.
No problem.
Yes.
Okay, maybe you can think about that, and next time I have you on somewhere in the future, you can answer that. If you want to think about it a little bit more, because I don't want to, because that is a pretty big question. I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, for sure. I mean, and it's important. It's important to me, and it's important for the people who listens. Yeah. Where I'm able to give you an answer that I'm proud of. You know what I mean? And,
yeah.
Like I said, and also being able to speak for myself or if you can maybe give me maybe another question that can kind of lead me into answering that, or maybe if you got like another question that you can, ask that pertains to that or something like that.
Yeah.
I guess what it means to be Black is just like it's a full question, within itself. But I don't want to answer it as if I'm speaking for the majority.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if I was to answer that, I would be telling you my own perspective, my own belief, and everything else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not, and that question was kind of like full. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, representing the Black community. And I need to be careful.
Okay. So let me maybe give the question a little bit more framing, because one of the reasons that I was thinking of this question was I was listening to this rapper. His name is Aha Gazelle. And I may have sent you some of his songs, but I like him a lot. And he had this like series of 3 songs that was called All White Party, because he sort of like started his music journey in just being a rapper, didn't even know what Christian rap was, but he was a Christian himself. And then kind of as time went, he kind of got pulled into like Christian hip hop. And a lot of Christian hip hop is like white dudes like me who listen to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so his first song, All White Party, was talking about how he basically had to like appease all of the white people in Christian hip hop to be successful, basically,
Right.
And then he had All Gold Party, where he was talking about like the higher ups and money and different things like that. That's in Christian hip hop. And then sorry, my dog. And then the third one was All Black Party, and that's kind of where he sort of let out all the stops and said, "This is how." And he's down south from Louisiana, just very, and that's just who he is, And he had different lyrics in the songs that was saying like, "This is how Black people are as compared to." Almost like a Black Christians compared to white Christians sort of thing,
Right.
And he's saying like we don't listen to Hillsong, we like listen to this, or we go through this but not this, And so I was like, man, but I think just hearing that song, I liked how you framed that. Where, okay, is it fair to say that every Black person, if you ask them, what does it mean to be Black, they're going to answer that just completely differently? Would you say that?
Majority, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Like
majority, yes. The way I answer differently. For me personally, like, honestly, man, I feel like in a sense, we all are gods, right? We all have God in us. I believe I'm so prideful to be Black, and if you just look at the Black culture or just the human, basically like the human being, like the Kyrie Irvings, the Kanye West, the Michael Jacksons, just the ones who create beautiful art like no other. You know what I mean? There's something for me. To me, there's something special about the Black people that I take pride in, and that I appreciate being a part of, because there's something that's within me that believe that I'm special. Not to basically dismiss any other race or basically degrade any other race or anything like that. I just personally feel like we have something genetically special, about us that was hidden from us, that existed a long, long, long time ago. But before that, our ancestors were slaves, and and stuff like that. I don't, and like I said, I would actually have to, like, if you want me to kind of like break down that in detail and explain that, then we would have to kind of come back to it, and I would have to prepare myself for it.
Okay.
Because I'm not as, like, I can't speak fluently as much as I want. What I mean? Because of the lack of education, and me growing up through poverty, and me kind of starting late on everything else. What I mean? It was a struggle for me to worry about education, or worry about how to speak, or learn different words or different languages, when I was worrying about where are we going to lay our head, the next day, or helping my mom out, or just coming from a place where we had to live in shelters and stuff like that. What I'm saying? So I was living so much in poverty, where I couldn't focus on my school, on my education, or being smart enough, to actually understand these things. And so and that's why I also want to be careful, when I want to speak, because when I do speak, and I know how much power it is in the tongue. And I just want to make sure when it comes out my mouth that, I mean what I say what I mean, and people can understand me, and not kind of, twist my words up or anything like that. What I mean?
For sure. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, it just it is just different, just because, I always, look at this, where, I be at my son basketball games, right? And I see Black parents, we do the shouting, we do the yelling, like, let's go, we do the animated, proud dad, and then, like I said, I always see, you have the white families that just, that clap or look at us, be like, wow, they're doing too much, they're doing too much. But see, like me personally, I look at that as an opportunity for my son. I don't look at it as a hobby, just comes where we come from and what we've been through. I look at it as a way out, and that's where the whole privilege thing, come about, where we may have the assumption that these kids may have something to fall back on. However, this is an opportunity for my son, so I have more passion. When my son make a bucket, that's exciting for me. Now it's a little bit different, because obviously my son he developed into a much better basketball player, and he be balling and stuff like that. But when I didn't understand his potential, when I didn't know his potential, it was so exciting for me to see him do good, because I'm like, man, this is an opportunity where he can go to a better school. We can be able to afford. If we won't be able to afford, this is a way to get him in a better school, where he able to get a better education, where he can be smarter than his dad, smarter than his mom, get out of the system that his family is surrounded in. You know what I'm saying? And so that was really like my main, like, that's what I was kind of like going through throughout my life, instead of kind of being educated enough to, about really what's going on in this world. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. And
my bad. I know I kind of.
No, you're good. You're good. That's good. And I could see also how some people could hear that and say, well, potentially, what if you, what if, like, instead of, or as along with celebrating the bucket, you also celebrate like the A on the math test or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like I could hear people say that. And that's something that you also do. You know what I'm saying? Because I saw your post on Facebook the other day about your daughter and posting her report card, and it's almost all A's except for like one B plus or something.
Yeah.
Better than I've ever gotten, you know, and that was something that you were, you know, celebrating also just the same or even more than the bucket, you know. So
yeah, and that
I just don't want people to get the sense that the bucket is all that you're celebrating, you know. I want to that full picture of you're also celebrating the A's in the school or whatever, you know. So
yeah, of course, because you know, even in that, you know, it's because there's always, and that just kind of goes back to, you know, what it means to be Black. You know, there's the notion that we have to try 10 times harder to get in a position, you know, than anybody, you know, anybody else, or I say the minority.
Yeah.
You know, I guess, and then it's like, because I know if my son or my daughters do good, you know, academically, you know, it's a good chance. Well, not a lot. Now, honestly, I graduated. I have some family members who also graduated, you know, and went to college and got degrees and stuff like that. But when it came down to a job, it still was hard for them. You know, it's still hard for them. You know, why does, you know, it was always questions, well, why did this person get this position where I was working, when I put in like 10, 15, 20 years of work, but this person got this position because they know this person, you know, and I see it at work, you know, all the time where, you know, where it's a managers or, you know, bring people in, or brothers or cousins, you know, that they know. And then you have this guy who worked here 40 years, you know, well, a Black guy that worked here 40 years, you know, that didn't get a chance that pretty much qualified for that position. You know what I mean? And didn't get it, and never got a chance to get whatever reason. I'm not assuming that it has to do with race or anything, but you know, you got this guy that's well overqualified to get this position, but this guy gets to come in and bring his brother in and automatically get a supervisor just because he know this person in HR. You know, and that happens all the time. You know, so but yeah, like I don't want to get off track, you know, or anything, but you know, that's why me personally, sometimes I may overly celebrate, you know, things like that for my kids, because, you know, I look at things as, you know, maybe just, you know, opportunity, and the grades too. You know, not just, you know, sports or anything like that, but the grades and how they do in school, and how they respect themselves is a lot more important to me, because, you know, once they go in the real world, or 18 and beyond, you know, they're kind of by themselves, and they're going to go through situations where they're going to have to adjust, you know, by themselves. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely can see much more episodes of us in the future doing this, and I'm excited for that.
For sure, man. For sure. Definitely next time, maybe, like, you know what I'm saying, maybe like, so it can be like a better, because I was just, you know, kind of, curious about how this was going to go, and I was very, you know, looking forward to it. And I'm like, and if you maybe want to get in something deep like that, you could probably just throw me a couple questions like, hey, this is what I'm going to ask you or something. And then I can have a much better answer and be able to, you know, speak a lot better.
I'll do that next time. And then let's just end on this question, kind of going full circle back to battle rap. When you think about your life and all the different battles that you've done or watched or facilitated, what has battle rap meant just for your life as a whole?
Man, it's actually a stress relief for me. You know, honestly, it's the way that I express myself, because, you know, you have this, you have this thing where men, like I guess it's not masculinity where you express yourself too much or be too sensitive or show your emotions, and it's a way where I feel like I cannot cry out to the world or show weakness to my wife, or I have to be strong for my family. It's a way that I can express myself emotionally, through hip hop or through rap, the things that's going on in my mental, or, what I'm saying, and stuff like that. And it's basically a happy place for me. It's peace for me, because especially when people, love your art. It's something you create. It don't even have to be rap. This podcast, I'm sure when you post your podcast and people make a comment like, wow, that was great content. Like, I'm sure that brings joy to you. Like, man, you're okay. I can learn from this. I can, learn from that. But, overall, they like it. So, that brings positive energy into you. So,
yeah.
That's what it does for me. So it's definitely my piece, and it's definitely a love of my life, man. I've been rapping since I was kind of like 13 or 14, and I just kind of, took off from there. Used to do music, but now it just kind of, went to battle rap.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. All right, well, thank you for coming on here. We'll definitely do some more in the future. So
I appreciate you, Kayla, man. I definitely touch base with you in the future. Good looking. Thanks for the opportunity.
All right, man. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
All right, bye.